All right, hello everyone. This is Momodora. We're getting set up right now for this first game. Yep, it's time for some epic Momo gaming. Just sorting out a few things first before we hop in. And I guess I should introduce myself, and people can introduce himself too. My name's Matos Machine. I'm one of the commentators for this run.
I mean, you technically have introduced me by saying it once.
Yes, I did say it only once.
Because hello, my name is Double Double. Yeah, I'll be here to do commentary here together with Matos as we get into the Momodora RutM the Moonlight tournament. We're seeing this round here between Ronwin and Linzolle.
Yep, and we're just about to get started shortly. So yeah, I guess we can introduce this game for any people that don't know it. This is a Metroidvania with some kind of Dark Souls-like aesthetics. It's a really fun, short game casually when you play through it. It's good. Not super difficult, but not too easy either. It's a good amount of challenge. And yeah, it's really cute. You'll see it once we get into this screen, into the first area.
Yeah, there's gonna be a few important things here. So in the context of the tournament, this is the second round of the lower bracket. We have the eighth seed of the tournament, Linzolle versus 11th seed Ronwin, and this is a 16-month tournament. And yeah, the movement you see them do here at the beginning is a lot of rolling and rolling into the air. So the rolling is just press the roll button, but the rolling into the air is rolling and pressing the buttons for rolling and jumping on the exact same frame. So pressing them together. And it's called a roll jump. We keep that terminology nice and simple.
Yep, and that's basically the fastest form of movement as human Kaho. Later on in the run, we'll see a little bit of different movement once we get some different forms of movement later on.
Yeah. So over here, a tiny little detour to pick up some money. That will be important later for the items that are going to be used.
Yep, and you need exactly 80 for that item. So it's the one item we buy in this run.
Yeah. Usually there'll be a variable amount you'll get from like enemy spawning, but there's a couple of chests that we'll pick up that will give us the 80 that is needed.
Yeah, and
also
there's
also you have these bells that you can hit the savior game. Especially in a race setting like this, where a death sends you back to your most recent save bell, it's gonna be very important for just safety measures. Here's another chest. Without enemy getting money from enemies, you'll be at 60. So the first chest has around 20 to 24. Then that chest has around 40 to 45. Yeah, you can hear the Kaho scream when death happens. And unfortunately, Linzolle didn't hit a single save point, so back at the beginning. So yeah, this is where the save points come into play. And the risk you take by not getting them.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. Taking the poison there, and I think maybe she got a little messed up there. But as we see here, Ronwin is on the first boss, Adia. Didn't go for the skip, but it looks to be doing the more casual strat of just hitting the face, trying to get in some orbits as well.
Yeah, there is a quick kill you can do by doing a specific setup to bait Adia into doing a specific attack, which puts that pearl at the end. As we get a nice little visual glitch with the arrow. That pearl behind her is the weak point of Adea, and there is one attack she does where she puts the pole in front of her. If you bait her into doing that attack and then hit all 3 arrows at the same time on the same frame, Adea instantly dies.
Yeah, it's a 1 to 2 frame window, so it's kind of there's a pause buffer that you can do to make it more consistent, but it's not the easiest thing to go for. So when they do get it, it does save a lot of time though. Either of these.
Yeah,
things.
it's the kind of trick you only go for if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, don't try.
Yeah, and
it will not work.
there's different variations.
And-
Like you can go for like a really risky one, but there's like safer ones to go for too.
Yeah, the setup that I mentioned before, there's a setup to consistently bait that attack out, but it is not the fastest way to get that attack. There are faster ways, but yeah, they're more risky. And yeah, the reason you shouldn't try the quick kill if you don't know how to do it is because you'll likely end up getting hit. And one thing you don't want with Adea is getting hit. We mentioned it before. You can see it on Ronwin's screen right now. In the top left, there's a little item icon. The crystal seed with 1 usage on it. That is the item that you need AD money for to buy. Because that is a massive thing in this route, is the items you get. And a big source of items in this run is doing bosses without taking damage.
Yeah,
and that is with Adea.
Yeah, and we do that with every boss except for one. So every single item is every single boss fight is really important.
Technically too, because the final boss, because you don't need a damageless boss item from a final boss when you beat them, the run is over.
That's true.
So technically two, but for all intents and purposes one. And the item you get from Adea is is Adea's pearl. Like the pearl, that's her weak point. That's your boss reward. It adds a poison property to your arrows. It is a nice sort of DPS, but it has the double-edged sword of the fact that you can poison yourself with it. In casual play, it's bad because it makes you take damage. In speedruns, it's bad because if you do it in a boss fight, it means you took damage. You don't get the boss item.
But we still use it because we want that extra damage. So you just kind of
so it's just it's just the extra skill that is needed of don't poison yourself, lol.
Yeah, basically. And as we see here, Linzolle's going into this second fight right after. We didn't really talk about it much, but we do get an item here from this fight as well. It's called the Bachman patch, and it spawns a bunch of items and stuff.
Yeah, we have... First, we have a little phase 0 to this fight with Mocha. I forget what Mocha actually is. It's Lubella's underling, I believe.
An imp or something? No, the imp is the girl one. I don't know what those little enemies are called off the top of my head.
Yeah. After you do enough damage to Mocha, you fall down, and then Lubella shows up, and you hit her in a very non-specific place to do damage. Not intended at all. And yeah, there's another item that we haven't mentioned before that is also used here. There's this little fairy that shows up and then disappears, and a bunch of lasers come down from out of nowhere. That is the Konami fairy. That's Konami with a C. And she is summoned by doing the directional inputs of the Konami code. Up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right. I keep forgetting, is it 2 times left, right, or is it... I think it's 1 time left, right?
It's just 1 time for this
game.
So
it's... Okay, so it's part of the Konami code, but you get the idea. In-game, there's an NPC, I believe you can find, or a rune that tells you about it. But yeah, it is an item you can use, and as a little fun fact, because you can use it even when not having no items, it's the only item that is allowed in low percent, in the low percent category.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a few like items you have to get that are technically items, but yeah, it's the only like damage dealing item.
The key items. The key items you need to progress the game. But yeah.
And we see here, Ronwin did get through pretty good. Some of these spikes are instant kills, so like, if you fall on them,
all of them are.
Send you back. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, all of them are.
Yeah, spikes are instant kill, but you can stand in them while having invincibility frames from getting hit, before it. If you get hit and you fall into spikes with invincibility frames, then they don't kill you because they don't hit you.
Yeah, and it's pretty rare to have that happen. But yeah, it was good to see them get through it, and now he's on to this first or third fight, Frida.
Yeah, Subterranean Grave is the area we're in right now. And here's the boss for it, Daryl Frida. Now this is the slower but safer strategy. Which is sit in the corner, duck, and spam arrows. There's this big charge attack, you have to get up to Frida, hit her 4 times with a melee attack to cancel it. Then there's this teleport you can do where you go to the other side, but yeah, the strategy is just do the same thing but mirrored. The reason you sit in the corner and duck is because of a laser that she can fire that will hit you if you're not ducking, so that's just to cover that attack. And then the other attacks you can do if you're spamming arrows, you'll kill the wolves before they can even get remotely close to you if she spawns them, and she can also slowly inch forward to you and try to do this peck attack, but if you're sitting in the exact corner, Frida will always be too far away from you to actually hit you with the peck, so it will just miss.
Yeah, and it seemed like Ronwin got a little bit unlucky, got a lot of teleports there, which isn't really preferred, because you can't damage the boss during the teleports.
Wait till you get to the till you get to till we get to the next Lubella fight.
Yeah, that one.
Because spoilers, we're gonna be fighting Lubella again. Yeah, Lubella with the dives, which is RNG. Yeah, besides the setup that we mentioned earlier with the Idea quick kill, what bosses do is RNG. It's random.
Yeah, and there's like a little. Not some of them are worse than others. Some of them have like much more RNG and worse moves. Most of the bosses though have like only like 4 or 5 moves they can do, so it's not like too hard to guess what they're doing.
Yeah, and if you play this game enough, you can learn to adapt to the attacks that the bosses do.
Yeah.
All right, so Ronwin is coming up to the next fight that we mentioned that we talked about earlier. Here's a neat little exploit. Hitting a save bell not only saves your game, but it replenishes the uses on your boss item. So what Ronwin did is use the crystal seed, then hit the save bell to go into fight with like half of the duration of a crystal seed left, and then have an additional one to use. And yeah, that was a very quick and nice Lubella 2 fight.
Yeah, that was really nice. And something we didn't say while it was happening, but Linzolle actually took a hit in the Frida fight, so she had to restart the fight, which is a little unfortunate.
Yeah, Frida is the boss item that you get from Frida is the Sparks Thread, which is just this big burst of damage around you. It's a very neat item. Quick source of damage. And yeah, Lubella 2, the boss that Ronwin just fought, that's the boss that we mentioned earlier that you don't need to do damage this, because we don't use that item. The damage this boss item for Lubella 2 is an item that restores a little bit of health on every enemy you get, but not only is the heal so small that it's not worth it, we also tend to not kill enemies and just avoid them by dodging them. So it's just an item that we do not get use out of.
Yeah, it's pretty much just too slow to fight enemies at all, because we don't need any money like ever after that first item. So it's just we just run past them.
Now, also to recap what Ronwin did while we were talking is, when you beat Lubella for the second time, she curses you into being a cat. Except it's not a curse at all, because you escape the dungeon that you get thrown in, and then you get a magical item that lets you switch between human and cat forms at will. Speaking of the differences between human and cat, cat form is... the running speed is faster, but as a cat, running normally is faster than rolling, because in cat form, the roll has a big slowdown at the end of it. Ronwin did a little bit of jumping in the air, like Ronwin is doing here. And yeah, doing a roll jump followed by an attack. The attack cancels the slowdown in midair, and therefore this is the fastest way to move, is to do constant roll jump attack cancels.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to pull off, because roll jumping is hard to pull off in the first place, but you have to put like 3 inputs for each time you do it, so it can be really hard to do consistently, 20 times in a row.
Also, hooray for arbitrarily popping into a room and then going back. That's to to mark that we've visited the room with the specific save bell.
Yeah,
Because
and we
way
can
back on
teleport after that.
yeah, way back when fighting Frida, after getting the damages boss and the sparse thread, the runners went into the next room and got a. I keep forgetting the name of these things.
I usually just call them, fragment.
A fragment, and there's a door we need to get into. We need 4 fragments to unlock that door, and that's the first one. But the fragments also have additional abilities, and the one you get from Frida is that your bow charges faster, which actually changes how you use the bow to deal damage, but more on that later. The second fragment is what we're going to pick up now, and that gives us the ability to warp between save points. Each major area can be selected, but only if you've physically been in the room that the warp save bell is located in.
Yeah, and so that's why we had to go all the way through the monastery and then back all the way that we came, which is a little unfortunate, but it does save time overall to just do it first and then get the teleport and teleport back. And that's going to be our most useful teleport location because it's got 3 different branching locations and we have to go to all of them.
Yeah. Shoutouts to my early runs and teleporting to the monastery when I didn't need to, because of the few times in the run where you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that, and I've also done the warp to the monastery and then go the wrong way because I forgot where I was in the run, and then realized right after I fell down the stairs, I was like, "Oops."
All right, so Cinder Chambers is the area that Ronwin entered. This is where we're gonna fight one of my personal demons when running this. I have a notorious history with choking fights on the heretical arsonist that's coming up.
Yeah, it's okay. She's one of the most annoying because she has so much health, and you can't. You basically have to to arrow her to death.
Yeah, quick switch here. Switch away from the human form and switch the cat sphere away to equip the crystal seed. Here we throw. So yeah, this rain of blocks that you see on screen, that's the Bachman patch. And then yeah, this is an optional thing to go for the. There's an optional thing to go for the. I'm forgetting words.
Yeah, that's okay.
To go for the Konami Fairy.
Yeah.
Konami Fairy, I personally don't do it. But yeah, it is a thing you can do. Now, unfortunate death, although Ronwin took a hit already, so the damageless item was already gone at that point. And yeah, damageless, it seems intimidating at first, because it's like, it's a pretty difficult game when you try it for your first time. So it's like, how the heck am I going to do the boss's damageless? But that's where the damageless boss items come in. They are such a massive help in making these damageless boss fights doable, and just doing damageless to make doing damageless easier. It works out really well that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you're seeing right now with the arrows is you see these yellow particles coming around. So that's done by holding the ranged attack button for a little bit before letting go. We call it a half charge. And yeah, because of the faster charge speed from the fragment from Frida, yeah, that's what has better damage per second, better DPS on the arrows, is by doing half charges instead of spamming them straight up.
And personally, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, nice little tech you can do with the arrows.
Yeah, it definitely beats from a mechanical, standpoint. It definitely beats just having to click the button as fast as you can. Just you having, doing it somewhat rhythmically. And Ronwin did get the item. That is one of the most useful passive items. It increases all damage by half 0.5, I should say.
Yeah, it adds a flame property. The pocket incense that's a flame property to your arrow, to your attacks, which it especially is a massive damage boost for the Bachman patch, because all those blocks that come down, all those individual blocks get that damage boost from the pocket incense. So So yeah, now you get to see the true power of the Bachman patch, and you're gonna see some real boss melting here.
Yeah, it does pretty insane damage when it gets because it basically doubles its damage, so it does a ton of damage now.
Yep.
And Ronwin's coming in through the monster again.
Linzolle, Linzolle is coming up to the arsonist fight that Ronwin did not too long ago. So Linzolle's not too far behind. If Ronwin doesn't keep, one mistake could actually swing this race wide open. Yeah, there you can see the melting of the Bachman patch.
Yeah, that fight is like
here
so
with Fennel.
quick. It's one of the quickest fights.
Yeah, interesting strategy. So we talked about bosses and their attacks being RNG before. Not the case with Fennel. By doing specific moves and manipulating her HP in specific ways, we can actually manipulate her to behave a consistent way for us. So, what the usual strategy is to fire one arrow, not half charged, one arrow, and then do 2 sparse threads. Run back to the left side, wait a little bit, because the attack that you manipulate Fennel into has some invincibility frames. And then rain down Bachman patches and you're done. But yeah, the variant strategy that Ronwin did was to just run up to her, melee twice, and then do the sparse threads.
Yeah, there's just like small variations on that, and
yeah, the arrow into double thread is what I do.
Yeah, that fight, like doing it that way, is definitely like the most consistent. Because sometimes if you do the melees, you don't do it fast enough, or you don't get back fast enough, and then you kind of miss the Bachman patch, which is kind of risky. Because if you miss that, then you're like, you just have to improvise.
It's not super tight. You can get away with doing it early. The damage on the Bachman patch is greater than the remaining health, so you don't have to perfectly time it. But if you do it too much early and the Bachman patch, the double patch doesn't kill her, then you have to improvise, which will most likely end up in you getting hit and having to reset the fight, because the tainted missive that you get from beating Fennel but damageless, that's gonna be important for specifically the late game.
Yeah, it is a really good item, the tainted missive, because it doubles your damage for.
Yeah, it works. It works similarly like the Crystal Seed, except the Crystal Seed boosts the damage by 50%, whereas the tainted missive does by 100%, and you have to get 2 uses of it. The trade-off is that it costs health to use, so you can't use it to do a boss fight damageless. However, one way around that is to use the tainted missive before the fight starts. It does not count damage before the fight initiates.
Yeah, and notably we sometimes use it in this fight that Ronwin's on, and we do it beforehand, but it seems like he didn't get the tainted missive to last for long enough for the second phase, but overall did really well in that fight. That is the hardest fight, in my opinion, in the game.
Yeah, I personally don't missive for it either, but yeah, again, that is a huge choke point as well, because not only is it late in the run, but it's also one of the bosses that has the furthest away save point if you have to reset.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and the Lupiar can be really finicky to work with.
Yeah, Lupiar is definitely the hard part of the fight. Magnolia is, if you just do everything right, you'll win. She always spawns in the middle, so don't be in the middle. Fire arrows at her until she disappears. There's a visual cue that shows where she's gonna be.
Yeah, but you can still like take damage. Like I definitely still sometimes accidentally take damage to Magnolia. It just happens. But it's really good to see Ronwin get through that.
Yeah. Ronwin hanging on the menu a little bit. Presumably to remember where you have to go, because yeah, something we completely didn't go over. Linzolle is in there right now, is the Royal Pinacoteca. To get into this area is where you need the 4 fragments for to get into, and the reason you go in here is to get an item called the Sealed Wind. This item will be used right here where Ronwin is right now. to upgrade your melee attack, your leaf. You're using a maple leaf to attack people, in case you didn't know. Yeah, and you upgrade it here. It turns green and it is more powerful. But the more important thing for the run is it's required for runs in this game to get the true ending, and that's what you need to get the sealed wind for and upgrade the. Well, the thing to trigger the true ending is you need to upgrade the leaf, and then to upgrade the leaf you need the sealed wind, and then to get the sealed wind you need to get the fragments to get into the Royal Pinacotheca. So that's all stuff you would just skip. And yeah, if you did the run without true ending, it would just be almost a straight shot to the area where the final boss is. And there's a third phase to the boss that you don't fight if you get the bad ending.
Yeah, but it also doesn't really give you credits, so it doesn't really count as a or an ending for speedrunning purposes. So that's why we have to do the true ending.
Yeah. Also, yes, solid loopier fight by Linzolle as well.
Yeah, it was a really good
Really
fight.
nice to see. Also, shoutouts to Kath here, spilling ketchup on herself, or red wine, whatever you want to go with. It's definitely not blood.
Yep. It's okay, if we don't talk to her, she just sits there.
Source, just trust me.
Yep.
Yeah, her name is Kath. She helps us throughout the game, but we just kind of skip out the place where you first see her. We don't talk to her because slow. The dialogue she does have, we go through it. When she asks, like, hey, help me with this thing, we say no because the dialogue for helping is longer.
Yeah. And Ronwin just did the clone angel fight. It takes just 2 sparse threads and 2 melees with a tainted missive, so it can be pretty quick if you hit everything, but if you miss something, you do get the extra thing.
Yeah, you want to set it up right. Yeah. With the way we do things, basically an internal timer starts as soon as you register the first hit, which in most cases will be the sparse thread. The first sparse thread hitting. So you hit the first sparse thread, you hit the second one, and then squeeze 2 melee attacks in, and that's how you beat Cloud Angel in a single cycle. And yeah, Ronwin's coming up to the final boss here that we've been talking about. So there's a curse in this land, and we gotta meet the queen to try and figure out how to solve it. Except the queen was the cause of the curse all along. Plot twist. So now you fight the accursed queen of Karst. The 3 melee hits, walk away, arrows. Unfortunately, it didn't get the supercharge.
Yeah,
which is one of the...
a little early.
Yeah, another one of the fragments, we didn't go over them. The third fragment you get after Arsonist, which gives you the mid-air dash that you've seen the runners use. And the fourth fragment, which you get after Fennel, which gives you the supercharge. But yeah, the idea with the first phase is... 3 melee hits, walk away so the attack doesn't hit you. Then fire a supercharge, and that clears phase 1. The reason you don't want to get hit is because... Tainted Missive costs 25% max HP to use. Yeah, and getting hit once by the Queen attack, pretty much all of them.
Yeah, it puts you into into below 25% health, and once you get below that, if you use it, it does kill you.
Yeah, it's not the kind of game that disables you from using it if you don't have enough health. No, you kill yourself instead. And yeah, GG here to Ronwin for grabbing round 1 here, but you know it's not over just yet because this is a best of 3. We got another race coming up and potentially a third. But GG nonetheless.
That was a good run by Ronwin. And Linzolle coming up, gonna hopefully get through this gauntlet without taking another hit. Oh, it looks like did take a few hits there and did die here, which is really unfortunate.
So we have we do have some movement manipulation here with the movement. You specifically want to trigger this attack on the left and then be on the right when the other attack comes in.
Oh no, and that's really unfortunate. Jumped away to get away.
And then
accidentally hit the elevator.
Luckily the way down isn't too difficult because you'll be going lower, so the second attack will miss. But yeah, unfortunately, out of the elevator, press the button again, and there's another unfortunate death.
That's
You know,
really...
just squeezing out the mistakes here so they don't happen next run.
Yeah.
You know, better to do it now that this first race is already finished. Or already
Yeah.
has a winner decided, rather. Just
I hope,
iron out the mistakes. Get some practice in on Clone Angel.
it'll be a question of how well Linzolle can recover in the next game here. And
Yeah, exactly. It's you know, getting all the marathon luck.
Mm-hmm.
Just squeezing the marathon luck bottle empty.
Yeah, getting out some of the nerves to play really well in the next few games, hopefully.
Yeah.
Get
So
all
yeah,
the good luck.
so yeah, this essentially movement triggered this attack on the left, and then the other attack on the right, so you can jump over.
Ooh, and
Nice health, lol. Luckily saved us also. In addition to restoring your item usage and saving your progress, they also restore your health to full.
yeah, that was really fortunate that didn't kill there. Because that was like a pixel of health. And we'll see how well. That was a good phase 1.
Yeah.
Gonna charge up.
Yeah, one thing you can do to line up the supercharge is to do the triple melee attack like Ronwin did before, then walk away to not get hit by the attack. And then do 2 hits, and then let go of the arrows. But the tricky thing with that is if you have to wait for the melee attack animation to finish. If you let go of any charged arrow in the middle of a melee attack animation, the charge just goes away and nothing happens. Like you don't get your arrows out.
Yeah, it's really sucks when you accidentally let it, at the wrong time and it doesn't do anything.
Very well, nice. Yeah, nice time, 30:03. Ignoring the decimals, that's a nice palindrome time.
Yeah, it took a lot of deaths. I think it seemed like she was a little nervous, so hopefully
listen, it's all for cosmetics. Is the reason we have it on timer. Like in a game like this, the leaderboard's in minutes and seconds. So who cares about that?
Yep. Well, now we're just gonna have a little bit of time until we can get into the second one.
Yep. Yeah, GG to both runners, because 30 minutes, a low 30-minute time, that is still a solid time.
Yeah, it's not like an easy time by any means. You still have to put a lot of work to get sub 30, so like being that close is really impressive.
And yeah, it's what we've been saying is that these mistakes can add up the time. You've seen the time that Linzolle lost from the mistakes that did happen, and just fair play to Ronwin for not making any mistakes that Linzolle could catch up on.
Yeah, Ronwin did a really solid run too. With
how close these two runners are to each other on like leaderboard times, PBs and whatnot, it really does come down to who controls their nerves the best and who makes the least mistakes. It's not the kind of race where it's like a high seed versus a low seed, where it's like the higher seed can like do worse than their worst segments on their life split and still be faster than the sum of best of the lower seed. It's not that kind of mismatch. This is really there's really anyone's taking.
Yeah, anyone can win. Because I mean, I think Linzolle in the last week did a 25-minute run, so that's a really good time.
Yeah.
And Ronwin's similar.
In preparation for this tournament, everyone's been on everyone in the tournament has been on their best behavior. there's been a lot of posts in the PB channel over on the Discord for this game of people getting better times and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure almost everyone has PB'd. There's a few people
Yeah.
that haven't.
I did during warm up for my first round match, except I wasn't recording because it was warm up, so I've not
Yeah.
recorded PB.
That's really
And there's
sucks.
like a mid 26. I want to say I'd have to pull up Livesplit to see what it is, but it's like a 26:45 or something.
Yeah, that is tragic. But you'll get it again, I believe.
Hey, my sub best is lower, so I can get it. Copium.
Yep, you definitely can. You just need to play enough, and you'll get it eventually. It's just a matter.
Yeah, I'm here patiently waiting to see who my next opponent is in the lower bracket. So I got chances. Plus, I just want to run. I'm not done with running this game in general anyway. So I'll be back.
Exactly. It's just a matter of time. You'll get it. And yeah, we should be starting pretty soon here. Looks like both the runners are now ready. And so yeah, we'll shortly be getting into the game 2 here. And I'm really looking forward to this game too. I hope Linzolle does get a really good run going and can take this game, just so I see a best of 3. Because I'd really like to see a best of 3. There haven't been too many so far, but they're really cool when they happen. And pretty notably, in last week's game, Linzolle almost took a game off of Googler, which would have been insane if that actually happened, because that would have been a really big upset, even if it was just a singular game in that series.
Oh yeah, we do love those, and it's in anything competitive, right? But you always love to see these unexpected victories. Be it seeing like in sports tournaments where you see like these cup competitions where it's just the loser is eliminated, so it's like a single elimination competition, and you see this low ranked team just get really far, or like in any esports where there's a team from a like a low estimated region beating one of the top teams in the world. You love to see it. You really do.
Yeah. It's just captivating to see the underdog pull through.
Everyone loves a good underdog story.
Yep. So yeah, we're now into the second game here, and gonna just go through the Grove again. So hopefully both of these runners can get through without dying this time, and we'll see who can pull out ahead, get that early lead. Kind of something we didn't really talk about is just how RNG this area is. It is probably the most heavily RNG area in the game, just because the imp is like these little girls that are running around. Those
yeah,
are just
these are imps.
Yeah, they're just like the worst. They do like so many different things.
That imp. Yeah, that imp with the shield, like in the room before this. Like if they throw a knife or not is random. Where imps that jump around, where they jump around, how they jump around, how fast, that's all random.
Yeah, there's just so much, and like it's just like so hard because there's no one consistent strat you can do that'll always get you through. You have to adapt at some point, usually.
Yeah, like you can also see it on the runners. They have slightly different. They have slightly different amounts. Like you can see Ronwin having exactly one. Like we do the thing, so we'll definitely have enough to get the crystal seed.
Yeah, you can get if you get really lucky with like the chest, like there's like extra money drops you can get, and that'll sometimes let you skip a chest. But it looks like neither of these, like they both
Yeah,
had to
or in
go
some
to
of the
second
chests
chest.
you can like swoop in and swoop out and then leave like 3 of them hanging.
And they're both in Adia at pretty much the exact same time, so it'll come down to. And Linzolle's going for
Oh,
the
this
quick.
was going for the quick kill.
Will she be able to get it? Yeah, she
Pause
got it.
buffer. Yeah, nice. Awesome. So you're seeing the power of quick kill the day I hear and the lead.
Yeah, so that'll put Linzolle a little bit ahead, and coming out of the grove, it's only going to be a few seconds, but everything matters.
So yeah, that's also part of the consistent strategy of baiting the attack and then pausing to line it up. If you've watched Super Monkey Ball speedruns before, where it be individual levels or full game runs, you may, you may have seen runners pause and see if they have a specific count on the in-game timer to know, like, okay, I'm on this frame, so now I hold the button. So yeah, pause buffering like that, you can do that with the Adea quick kill as well.
Yeah, there's no like timer exactly. You kind of have to feel it out. But fortunately, there is kind of like a sound effect that you can kind of hear, so you know when you can let go. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, more RNG is Mocha jumping around like a bumbling fool.
Yeah, Mocha's basically just an imp. Like an imp with a boss imp, really.
Yeah, Mocha wants to give you a hug, does not respect social distancing.
Yeah, like his AI is like an imp. He's technically not an imp, he's a Bachman. But yeah, he does bounces around a lot, and he can do some different moves. He's really easy to take a hit on, unfortunately.
Yeah, so a safe strat you can do is, if you watch on Linzolle's screen right now, if you keep going to the left instead of down, you can loop back to the save bell and hit it again. And, in case you need to reset, you can just go through the door and back to this area.
Yeah, that's like the intended way.
It is obviously slower, so it is a risk to not take it, but it's also faster to not take it.
Yeah.
That little ball that Mocha just threw out it curses you, which disables you from using your items. The explosion hurts you, so that would be a reset. But then the poison cloud it leaves behind. It's not a poison cloud. The cloud it leaves behind curses you if you get hit by it.
Yeah, it acts the same way as like the poison cloud, but it just gives you the curse instead of poison, which is kind of annoying.
Classic Lupilla dives.
Yeah.
So Linzolle waiting for the dive to throw out the Konami fairy, which is the only way you can hit Lupilla in that state. It's a thing you can also do in the second Lupilla fight if she dives, is throw out Konami so you can still hit her down there.
Yeah, it's
important to also keep the poison damage on her, because the poison damage will continue to tick down as she's dove under. Dived under?
One of those. Yeah, but in general, it's like 9 seconds of loss when she dives, so it's really unfortunate when it happens. And that's kind of a little taking that death and then getting the dive means Linzolle's a little bit behind here going into the grave or the subterranean grave.
Yeah, you can see how the things are ironing out. Linzolle got the Adea quick kill and got ahead, but you can see the cutscene that Ronwin just went through. Linzolle just started it, so Linzolle's still close to Ronwin.
Yeah, I mean this is still like only like 20 seconds or something, so it's really not like an insurmountable lead by any means. Like this is still a very close race.
Yeah. Also, if you're feeling particularly risque, you can do that. You can land on the platform with the chest and do a roll jump. The reason it's risky is if you don't get the roll jump and just roll instead, you die.
Yeah, you have like
you are dead.
You have like a frame sometimes where you can recover, but it's like not consistent at all. So you basically just always die if you miss it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to highlight about roll jumping, particularly as we're in this underwater area where general movement speed is very low, is the reason we do roll jumping in the first place is for general movement, to just get up ledges, but to jump up places, but still have the movement, the speed of the roll.
Yeah, you get the speed of the roll, but you don't get all of the height of a jump. So it's still, if you have to go just vertical, it's still faster to jump.
Yeah, you get the roll of a tap jump essentially. There's not too much variance between it, but there is variance in the height of your jump, depending on how long you hold the button. It's just that the apex isn't that much higher than the minimum height of a jump.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you do get minimum jump height from a roll jump. Because you press them for the same frame, and when you do the roll, the very next frame, the game already counts you not holding the jump button anymore, so you get the minimum height. So you're literally jumping for one frame. Alright, so we get to see Frida again. Nice little detail is that enemy that spawns on the right side of the room, shoot it with poison arrows so it dies during this boss spawning cutscene, because you don't want this, you don't want that enemy to mess with you in the fight, because she will throw your staff at you.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but this enemy, that enemy always reminds me of Ari from League of Legends. I don't know if it's the ears or what. The ears and the hair?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's Ari to me.
It seems like Ronwin's getting a little bit better luck this time, not getting a bunch of teleports and getting dogs. With the arrow strat is really good.
Speaking of them being close, they're on the same fight right now.
Yeah, that means it's really close when they're on the same fight at the same time. And Linzolle's going for the more dangerous melee strat.
Yeah. So what makes it more dangerous is obviously the wolves are closer to your face when you're up that close. You cannot melee attack when ducking. You have to be standing up straight to attack. I forget what happens I believe if you press the melee button while ducking, you stand up and attack.
Yeah, that's what happens. It just stands you up.
So you basically need to know the visual cue for the laser and know to duck.
Yeah, and you also need to know when she's gonna peck, because if she pecks, you have to jump instead. Or roll.
And anticipate the peck. It's faster, but it requires knowledge and anticipation of Frida's attacks.
And Linzolle's a little bit of low health here, so can't take another hit from one of these spinny.
No, like what Ronwin just did, getting hit by one of those spinning things. Linzolle can't do that, so don't.
Yeah, and it looks
you can see here, taking it safe, not risking it. Because you're dying now, it gets you sent back all the way to the checkpoint where you picked up the fragment after beating Frida. That's how far you go back at this point. So no.
It would not be preferable. But now that there's a save point, everything's good. So
yeah, like this is not the time nor the place to throw for content.
yeah, that would not be fun, and this is already so close. So anything really matters.
Yeah, I definitely would say we mentioned during the whole cutscene thing where we compared the runners, where Linzolle was 20 seconds behind. It's definitely less than 20 seconds now.
Yeah, it's not.
More like 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Wow, getting a dive here that's really unfortunate. On this stage especially, it's worse than but Linzolle gets it too. It's worse than the first fight because it takes longer because there's like a second wave to the attack afterwards.
Because something you may have noticed is the attacks of Lubella. Lubella's attacks are very similar to the first fight. They just amped up. So yeah, it's two. So during the dive, it's 2 sets of orbs that rain down.
Yeah, it's like she just gets an upgrade. So like all of her attacks get like an extra little oomph.
And then the orbs that come raining down while she's present. It's like there's 3 waves of it instead of 1.
Yeah. Everything gets like a slight little extra attack after it. And then, so that makes the dive a little worse. But both of them got the dive, so not really any comparison there.
Yeah, really fairly similar fights.
Yeah. That one's one of the shorter fights, so it's hard to really save a bunch of time on it.
Assuming you don't die.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the thing. The fact that you don't have to do that boss damage does not make it any easier. Lubella kills you in like 2 hits anyway.
Yeah, you can definitely die in that fight, and you lose like 10 or 20 seconds, depending on when you die. And with the race as close as it is now, that would be that would put the lead to give the lead to one of them if it happened.
Yeah, like this is if it stays like this is begging for a loopier swing.
Mm-hmm. And something I don't know if I noticed the first time. I think Ronwin might be playing on the previous version, so has a little bit of differences, and doesn't get changed into a human like Linzolle just did in that stage.
Yeah. As far as this run is concerned, every single NPC, with the exception of one, if you interact with them, you turn back into a. If you interact with them in cat form, you turn back into a human. As well as upgrading the leaf with the sealed wind that lets you get into the area. With the hibisco tea that upgrades your leaf. That also forcefully turns you back into a human if you're running on the most recent patch of the game, which is version 1.07.
Yeah, and for a long time, 107 and 106 weren't considered faster for this specific category, just because they added that transformation, and they also added a few extra text boxes, which slows it down a little bit. But it also buffed the arrow speed, or not the arrow speed, the arrow damage on the most charged level of the bow, and it did it a lot, so that ends up saving more time overall with boss fights.
Yeah, particularly Queen, because that is one where the supercharge is premier.
Yeah, the supercharge with the heavy arrows that you get from the Lupiara and Magnolia fight and the Tainted Missive does like 80 damage or something, like
Yeah.
a ton.
Also because I don't personally do roll jump cancels. I haven't touched an attack myself yet. So what I like to do is jump over NPCs and other things to make it seem to unsuspecting viewers that it's necessary. Like jumping over NPCs, jumping over a Dea's dead body.
When I first started,
I
think
don't
it's funny
know.
that you
I don't
mentioned it.
know.
When I first started running this game, I thought you had to jump over Kath at the end there. And I just always did it. And then I was like, wait, you don't actually need to. I just didn't realize because I just had watched people do it that way.
Yeah. And the particular place I do it is on your way to Monastery to unlock the warp and then double back. But when you go to Monastery and then go through those same rooms again to upgrade the leaf, you have the dash at that point, so then your jumps don't line up with it anymore. So then you see me pass through them and be like, "Hey, you don't need to jump over them." Be like the meme of like, "You lied to me."
Yep. So yeah, now we're getting into this arsonist fight again.
Okay,
Last time
little fun fact is, if look at the health bar, it's partially empty already. That's from that's a little bit of lore is Kath. Yeah, you're jumping into Kath's fight with the arsonist, and that's why she has partial health.
Yeah, and she does try and help on this fight. She does a little bit of damage. She can help stagger arsonist, which is sometimes nice.
The more important thing about Kath for this fight is two components that you ideally want to be fast. You want to leave the room to the right, so you want to end the fight as far to the right as possible. But also, as you can see on Ronwin's screen, after this fight, Kath has to run all the way over to you, and then she talks to you. So the closest she is to you when the fight ends, as you can see on Linzolle's screen right now, that is pretty much perfect cat distance. The dialogue is going to show up right away. Like, didn't even walk, just stood in place.
Yeah, and that was just like the end of the boss fight was just a little bit better for Linzolle there, so she didn't have to run to the left at all. And so yeah, just overall is still a few seconds behind here in the race, but it's really close. Like it's just getting closer and closer as these runners keep progressing. And as Ronwin is getting into we didn't talk about this earlier, that he's going to talk to the cat lady and get the monastery key.
Yeah, on the most recent patch 1.07, this is the one NPC you can talk to still in cat form, because this is Crazy Cat Witch.
Yeah,
and that's not witch derogatory. Like, look at how she's dressed.
Yeah,
Got the hat and everything.
And all of the cat's colors are randomized too.
Yeah, this is Cotillard or Cotillard, depending on how fancy you want to be. And the reason we visit her is she gives you the monastery key, which lets you get into the area where you fight Fennel.
Yeah, you have to
in the subterranean grave, which was the place where you fight Frida. That's where you get the garden key, which is necessary for the route to go from the subterranean grave into Whiteleaf Memorial Park, which is the area you go out to after that. A simple fight.
Yeah, I think Linzolle's going for the more dangerous strat. Didn't get quite enough damage off of the Bachman patch, so still a little unfortunate, but I think was maybe slightly faster. Hard to tell.
Also, take a moment to praise how close this run has been.
Yeah, it has been very close so far.
Give credit to both of the runners here. For Ronwin for staying on top of their game, to not give Linzolle a chance to catch up those precious 8-9 seconds, but Linzolle also not making mistakes to stay further behind, ready to pounce like Kaho in cat form on any mistake if Ronwin were to make one.
Yeah. And this is a pretty big platforming section, so it's possible that one of them takes a death here, and that would potentially swap up who's ahead.
Yeah. While we go to the Pinacoteca and the platform and movement heavy section, one thing I want to talk about is the sort of choices that go into when do you want to be cat, when do you want to be human. Because something we completely neglected so far is the limitations of being a cat. We talked about the benefits, like the faster running speed and whatnot, and being faster when roll jumping and then attacking midair to cancel the slowdown at the end. But the detriments of being cat form is the only item you can use as a cat is the cat sphere. You cannot use any other items. On top of that, you also cannot climb any ladders.
Yep, can't use your little cat paws.
So in certain areas where the difference between cat and human isn't absolutely massive. So for short areas where you're required to be human because you come off a ladder, and then you go into an area where you would need to be human again because there's a ladder ahead. That area is very short. It may not be worth to transform, because the transformation time takes longer than the time cat momentum or cat speed would save for that area.
Looks like Ronwin got a good first phase.
With the Loopia fight here. Something in addition to the missive that you can do is something that you always do, is use a Bachman patch before the fight actually starts. So it comes in, you initiate the fight, you press start to skip the cutscene, which is something we also didn't go over, but it's kind of arbitrary, but some fights you can skip the cutscene by pausing and unpausing. The Mocha and Lubella fight at the beginning, Fennel is one we can do it, and then here as well in Lupiar and Magnolia.
Yeah, and it looks like Linzolle just did the menuing a little faster at the end of that fight, and the fight a little bit faster too, so... Now Linzolle's taking problems. Yeah, it's now close, and the lead is now in favor of Linzolle here by just a few seconds. So.
Like a literal screen. Like Linzolle leaves the screen, and then Ronwin enters the screen that Linzolle just left. Here, Bachman. So the Bachman patch usage there is to actually hit a switch off screen, but it's on this.
It's on the screen, but it's like above what you can see. So like.
Yeah, it's above you, and you hit it to make the wall go away, so the ladder opens up next to that save point.
Yeah, and that's not intended. It's just you can hit it with an item, so we just do because it's a lot faster
you can,
than going through that normally.
It's clever use of intended mechanics. You can hit it with an item, and the Bugman patch can hit that far up.
Yeah, and you can also hit it with the fairy too. So it's
clever use of game mechanics is what we call that.
Yeah, I don't think that was like an intended way by the dev, but they might have known about it and just never, it's like, oh, that's cool. You just don't have to do that final section. You would never figure that out as a casual player. Oh, well, probably not.
No, exactly. And then if you do find it out when you replay this game, because that's fair to do. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Okay, so if there had to be a death, then that's all right. That's not overly costly.
Yeah, that was
really
make
the difference here, but look at how low health Ronwin is. This is still dangerous.
Yeah, well, he can't take damage anymore, so...
Yeah, no, Ronwin did get past the parts where death can happen, unless magically the save point gets forgotten.
Yeah,
I don't see this happening, and yeah, a little bit of a moment here with the menu.
Yeah,
that's giving Linzolle an opportunity. This is coming down to the minor details.
Yeah. Having all your items in the right spots is helpful, but if you don't want to spend too much time looking at the menu.
No. Like, shout out to the tutorial that there is for this game where it both teaches you how the menu works. So like it visually shows you which item you put where, but it on top also shows you like, hey, here's the inputs to do this. If you want to learn the inputs from muscle memory, you can.
Oh, and
yeah, like Ronwin falling down. So Linzolle doing the setup of hitting that enemy, hitting the enemy to the side, then taking contact damage to jump over to the left. Now falling into the spikes, taking a death, getting back here, having to do Clone Angel again. Like the swings are an absolute madness right now.
Yeah, she managed to get. She went for the yeet strat, as people call it, and she got it. And then she unfortunately missed that tiny little platform right at the end, so she has to redo that whole section again.
Shout out to Mario Maker 1-block jumps.
Yeah,
I mean, classic Mario games have them too, but I just wanted to yell about Mario Maker.
Yeah.
It feels so bad if you get a hard strat and then die afterwards, and you get sent back to before the point where you before the hard strat. Feels so bad.
Yeah, that's why I like to call this section the gauntlet, because it's like a run killer, like right at the end of the run. So it's like so tragic when it happens.
Yeah, like run killer literally because it's the end.
Yeah. It's like you can't it loses like a minute sometimes when you die there, so it's like really painful. Or around a minute, a little less than a minute. And yeah, Ronwin got to this boss ahead and then gets a little bit unfortunate, didn't get the kill before that little spinny attack.
Yeah, but there's this final phase. If Ronwin doesn't mess up, then this is nothing Linzolle can do to catch up.
Yeah.
This is all down to Ronwin's execution now.
Yep. Linzolle did do a good phase too, so if he does
Bachman,
die...
Yeah, double Bachman, hit him with and then arrows, and that is time for Ronwin.
That was well played.
What a game. What a game this has been. Like, look at how low the difference is going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to, like... Oh, no! Oh!
Ah, unfortunate death.
That's... It stopped the timer, too, so I think it actually...
Yeah, that can happen. So yeah, there's an auto splitter for this game as well, if you were wondering. And yeah, sometimes the auto splitter can do funky things.
Yeah, she technically died, but because Linzolle died on the same... frame basically, it must be like the same.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Shout out to the one marathon showcase of this I did where I called time on the final hit, except it was me that died and not the boss, not the queen.
Yeah.
Just clear the phases again, easy.
Well, fortunately, that wasn't the end. That wasn't like the last thing that decided
A
the
bit-
race, but it
bit
is
of an
still really
anti-clim-
tragic.
A bit of an anticlimax, but literally nobody cares because everything leading up to this has been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was a really good race. It was very close,
Oh yeah,
right up to the last moment.
we're definitely getting the runners in here to talk
Yeah.
about this.
We need to.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so
is
they should be coming.
this is the sort of thing you get to see at this tournament. Matches that are this close. Not to toot my own horn, but in my first match, there was the round one was literal tie to the seconds and minutes.
Yeah. It was, there's been
like,
so many close games in this tournament.
Shout outs to Niyaki for that one. That was so good. Niyaki took the round on decimals. So
Yeah.
you know what I said earlier about who cares about decimals? You'd think I'd learn after that.
Yeah. It's okay. It happens. It's rare to happen, but I mean, when it does, it's really hype.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, shout outs to Niyaki, shout outs to everyone, shout outs to you, Matters, for being on commentary with me. We'll get the runners in here in just a second.
Yep, I was glad I could be here.
Me as well, glad I have been here on commentary despite fighting a cold.
Yeah, you did a really good job, so thanks for that.
Dude, all this talking is such a strain on my throat.
Yeah, well, take a
shout
rest
outs to all the participants. I believe exclamation point bracket in chat will show you the bracket. You can see everyone that's playing.
Yeah, so now that we have both runners here,
welcome Linzolle and Ronwin. GG on your match, and congratulations, Ronwin, on the victory.
Thank you. Yes. It was horrible.
All right, so let's start where we ended off. So, what were your personal experiences throughout the run? How do you feel about how you stacked up against each other? Because you obviously can't see what the other person is doing, so you had no idea how close the race was at any point.
Mm-hmm.
No. You want to go first?
I felt like it was going to be pretty close because we're not too far off on the leaderboard, if I remember correctly.
I actually run with the stream on the on the background, so I know what's happening. Yeah, sometimes the pressure helps sometimes to me to focus more. Kind of variable. It helps me.
Huh.
So yeah, pretty much throughout the entire race, the entire second race, I can inform you that you were never more than 30 seconds apart from each other. It was that close. Thought you might appreciate to know that.
Oh, yeah.
We have honestly enjoyed watching you. So yeah, GG to you both for putting on such an amazing show.
So, how do both of you feel after that that very close second game and just the overall match?
On the second race, not an overstatement. My base run, because I went and checked, it's the same time as my PB, 25:55:05. Like.
Tied PB, nice.
Yes.
That's really cool. a little unfortunate. It couldn't be like slightly faster, but I think that's happened to a
Yeah.
lot of people. I've definitely done the same thing where I was like 0.1 seconds off.
Mhm.
It's like, ah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we've all been there. Runs that were
Mhm.
half a second slower, half a second faster, 1 second slower, things like that. Look, the mini PBs, we take those.
Yeah.
So yeah, Linzolle, over to you. How do you feel about your 2 runs altogether?
The first one, I was not confident of that one at all. That was 5 minutes behind my PB because I messed up right at the very start with the dying to the imp at the end of the grove. Or what did something killed me? I think I got poisoned to death.
Yeah, I think you were poisoned, and then you might have rolled into an imp as well at the end.
Right. So I was like, oh no, they're gonna have to mess up real bad for me to catch up. And then Frida, I think, got me. I was very behind that one. And then for the second game, it was behind my PB a lot because of dying to Mocha at the very start. But I was like, oh man, I'm catching up. I'm doing it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna win. And then I fell into the spike pit right at the very end. I was quite upset about that part.
I hate when that happens. I hate when I die on that, like, in this final 3 rooms. It's like it feels so bad.
Yeah, the pain of the 1 block jumps. We've all felt it.
And then the double queen death, even though it didn't matter because I saw Ronwin had already finished. I was like, no, I can't at least have a better time.
Yeah, that's like just like, of course it happens in a marathon where you die on like the same frame you killed the final phase.
Yeah, marathon or race, like any kind of no reset setting.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you're just personally streaming or running and doing like a no reset run, it's its own little environment that comes with its own little quirks.
Yeah.
I gotta improvise sometimes. Play with a 1 HP in the last 3 rooms.
Yeah. It just happens like that, unfortunately, sometimes. But you did a really good job of maintaining your composure afterwards and finishing it out.
Thank you.
All right, so next question I want to ask is what's your favorite thing about this run? What do you get the most satisfaction out of? Linzolle, I'll start with you.
Kitty. I love being a cat and just jumping around. It's so fun. All the platforming is good, and then I love all the strategies for the boss fights. You play them in the normal game, and it's like Fennel, for example. She's like, I think she's kind of a roadblock for new players, but then you have all the items, and you just kind of destroy her in the 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's very satisfying to just kind of steamroll through bosses.
It's a really nice thing that you can also just make Fennel consistent by doing the right inputs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get her HP to specific values, you get her to do the thing where she raises her sword and then slides her hand through it, and you can set up the Bachman patch on it. So it's really nice, and it just goes to show that Damageless seems intimidating, but we have ways to make it doable. And not like tearing your hair out like you might expect from having to do it damageless.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ronwin, anything you want to add to that? Or things you love about this game and this run?
The game in general, I really like games that are just like a bunch of boss rooms tied together. Like boss fights are just real fun. And I'm gonna agree that just like steamrolling Fennel without her doing nothing, it's powerful. It's great.
get a little bit of vengeance for the pain and suffering you go through when you first go through this game as a new casual person.
I don't think I knew the bosses gave items before starting speedrunning, and I 100% the game.
I mean, to be fair, that's kind of something you wouldn't realize probably until you did until you maybe did insane, and then you'd probably see the item.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, something I want to highlight about the Fennel fight, since we're talking about it, is the fact that it sometimes can throw you off because the like 2 or 3 boss fights before Fennel are consistently like you start with double patch immediately, but then Fennel is something where no, you don't do that. Like you do like a couple melee attacks followed by sparse threads, or you do a bow attack and then sparse threads, and then you do the patch. So that's something that that has tripped me up in the past. I don't know how that is for you.
I think at first you kind of assume that would be the strategy because you can skip the cutscene like with Lupiar. But I think it's particularly interesting that that's not the strategy for her.
Yeah, I think I've tried it. Because I was like looking at it a little more recently, and you can technically do it, but if you're too far to the left, like none of the Bachman actually hits, so it ends up not working.
Yeah. Throwing away the room.
Yeah, like for the Lupiar fight, the Lupiar fight works just because like the spacing is correct.
She tries to roll towards you constantly.
Yeah.
All right. So, Linz, something I also wanted to highlight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the first game, you decided to do a day the normal way, not to the quick kill, and then so what made you decide to go for the quick kill on game 2? Is it because you dropped the game and just wanted the edge of that, or?
I think the real reason I went for it again was I was not feeling like oh, I messed up at the very start in the first game, so I was kind of off my game. So I figured that I'm not going to be able to hit it or even go for it. But then I had a pretty good. That was a gold split for me on that grove with the quick kill. So I was like, oh man, I did the grove really well. I better go for it.
Nice, and you did get it, so that was really well done.
I think that was the first time I got it in a tournament match.
Yeah. All right, I think. So yeah, that was good. Thank you both for coming and call. Any further questions you want to ask, Matos, before we sign off?
I didn't have anything. Just shout out to Speed Gaming for having us. It's wonderful to have this opportunity and like make this kind of thing work, and they just make it easy. So thanks for everyone involved.
Yeah, Speed Gaming also does a bunch of other tournaments aside this one. So just follow the general Speed Gaming channels to stay updated with any games you may be interested in alongside this one. We'll be happy to see you back here for further tournaments, because this tournament is far from over. There's a lot more amazing cat gaming coming up.
Epic Momo Gaming.
Exactly. That's what we do around here. So yeah, as it says on Ronwin's screen on stream right now, thank you for playing. I want to say thank you for watching.
Thank you for commentating.
Yes, it was a pleasure to. It was a privilege to be here, to have witnessed, especially such an amazing game too. Yeah, that's gonna be it from us. Follow the runners as well, by the way. Don't forget to do that. And yeah, have a wonderful evening. You can stick around for other stuff that Speed Gaming is doing, as we mentioned before. So yeah, take care, everybody, and good night.
Good night.
GG's.
GG.